I want to take you back to when you were a kid, growing up. How did it affect you when news came out about falsifying a birth certificate?
I kind of felt cool.
Oh, did it?
Because I got away with it for so long.
In that day and time, you went to the photocopy machine and then you took white out and then you fixed it and then you went to the photocopy machine. I wasn't making dollar bills.
The first time I ever heard about Kyle, I always tell this story. My son Coy was racing trucks. And so I called him after practice, but he said, hey, there's some kid here, okay? And he's 3 tenths faster than everybody. And he says, I hope he gets thrown out because I don't think he's old enough. And sure enough, that's what happened.
So I started at 13 and I made it all the way to 15. So I'm running cars that you're supposed to be 16 years old to run, and I'm 15. And I'm racing against this guy and he's blocking me. And anyways, I felt like he was running me dirty. So I spun him out coming to the checkered. So I finished second or third, whatever it was. And he wanted to fight after the race was over.
How old was the guy?
Oh, he's in his 30s, 40s. He is just ripping my ass through the window and just chewing on me, right? And then he I think I take my helmet off and he just stops and he's like, oh my God, he's just a fucking kid. So the next day, the guy calls the Las Vegas sports reporter and says, hey, this kid's name's Kyle Busch. Can you look up his records? How old is he? Because the next week he wants to kick my ass, right? So he wants to know if I'm 18, if he can beat me up. So the guy's like, oh, well, he's only 15. And he's like, wait, what? He's only 15 and you're supposed to be 16 to run these cars. So that's how I got caught.
There's your race winner, folks. He's out of the race car. Give him a round of applause. 14 years of age. All right, he's 15, he says.
So we actually drove, I called California, Arizona, Utah, and the Rocky Mountain Raceway in Salt Lake City, Utah will take you at 14.
Which you did not tell your wife about.
No, that would have been the end. She went to Kurt's tour races. And she would leave, I guess, after work on Friday. So we didn't load a part. We didn't even act like we were working on a car. And we saw her taillights go down the street, and I mean, it was a fire drill.
What would she have done?
I mean, it's not like she would have shot the tires out, but I mean, it would have been a problem. So she called me to tell me Kurt had got the pole in Colorado at the tour race. And I'm like, that's great, we qualified 5th. And there's this big pause. And it's just like the phone quit. It's like, finally, it's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, we qualified 5th. Why? What are you doing? What? And just, you can picture the rest.
How would your parents use racing as kind of a reward or incentive?
The rules were you have to be an A or B student and no C's or else you can't race. And so I never got a C until my final year of school.
Okay, what happened?
So I'm going racing all over the place, and we come home Sundays late at night, whatever, and I'm tired, you know, and first period was a computer class. Well, in computer class, sometimes they would turn the lights off. Dude, as soon as the lights went off, my lights went off. I was out.
When the boys were growing up, tell about this soda can slalom.
Our first house when the kids were growing up we had a decent sized cul-de-sac, and we would smash soda cans and develop a racetrack. And when the kids would come in, they could not use the brake at all. I felt anybody that learned how to race using brakes didn't understand half the battle. The battle's running the quickest possible lap without brakes, to me.
He was a huge influence just in the car realm. His dad was a car guy, he was a car guy. So we always had cars in the garage. You know, my dad built a 1932 coupe when I was 5 years old, less than 5. Kurt might have been 7 or 8, I guess, and he was massaging on it. There's pictures of us working on this car.
It was instilled in both Kyle and I right away. I mean, we went to the track to win. We weren't there to make friends. You know, other kids might be out riding their bikes. You know, they might be out playing tag or playing video games. Yes, we got to do all of that, but we were really regimented on working on the cars. Then when we got to the racetrack, you know, there was no horseplay, is what my dad called it. Mom was there running the scoring and keeping track of lap times and helping with the lineup. The mentorship and the teaching that they were giving us really instilled that work ethic and that drive within us to succeed.
What sacrifices did you and your wife have to make to support their careers financially?
I don't know if we'd call it sacrifice, maybe redirect vacation money. But we actually put Mom back to work when Kyle was old enough at the school district, just so we could have a few more sets of tires.
Interesting point about me is my mom was a school banker. So when I get to make it to the big time, she wants to control my money and she wants to be the money gal. And I'm like, okay. So I let her start doing it, you know, and a couple bills don't get paid. So I'm like, okay, you're out. So I had a couple really good people in the beginning that sat me down that were like, look, you're a professional athlete. Everybody's going to want to come at you for stuff. You have to be able to figure out how to separate your money into buckets, right? You have your savings bucket, you have your insurance bucket, investment bucket, and then you have your slush fund, you know, your play money. So you have to fill all those buckets. If all those buckets aren't getting filled right, you know, and then it doesn't work right. I was broke at one point.
Oh, you were?
In 2007, my money guys, they said, you're going to be negative 200,000 by the end of the year if you keep spending this way. So we literally had to stop spending in July.
What was your reaction when you found that out?
I was furious at the people that were helping me before. So I went from my mom to somebody else. So the middle person, I was furious. But look, I made it at 18. I'm young and dumb. I built this building at 21 or 20 years old, whatever it was. So like this was a $13 million project. Like who the hell needs to build a $13 million project at 20 years old?
And that experience taught you what?
I mean, well, it taught me the buckets.
Yeah.
Right? And it taught me the opportunity to not fall into the trap of other professional athletes that when you look at them after retirement, after a year or two, they got no money, they're broke because they spent it all. So you've got to have good people surround you to help you in those instances.